Oh no! Do something. Oh, in body for sure.
Mostly in spirit. What? What in the hell is going on with this splash screen? No, it was the weird cycling color stripe thing was what I was talking about. Ha! Collision.
I've heard this here compilation is pretty good.
I just unmuted myself to tell you that that was true and that
Okay,
I
that
also
they.
did not hear you.
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. I don't because every computer program, at least in Windows lately, seems like it loves to just switch
Yes.
audio input devices. Can
It's
you
a
actually?
real plague.
Yeah, Kurt, can you listen again and make sure now that I'm not like blowing out
Yeah, let me check.
everything for you guys or whatever? Anyways, thanks for the heads up, Bob. Appreciate it. But yeah, so hey, I'm Joe. I introduced those other two guys. This is Atari 50, the latest thing from the fine folks. I'm gonna hold this up again, even though you saw me hold it up. You couldn't not see me, you couldn't hear me, but this is Atari 50. It's the latest thing from the folks Digital Eclipse. I think what's interesting to me is that Digital Eclipse had like a pretty bad reputation in the PS2 era, which they have like very respectfully rehabilitated, and now are sort of alongside M2 and Hamster, sort of considered one of the go-to shops if you want a very well done, well curated, retro collection or retro compilation or whatever. Um, so I'm gonna.
And I do, Joe. I do.
You do. So I've heard that this is maybe the best thing they've done in terms of not necessarily in terms of the games included, but in terms of like the historical content and that kind of
The
thing.
packaging they're in.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but I saw Frank
Curation.
Cifaldi give a talk at Magfest a few years ago, and he's no longer. I mean, I think he still does consulting work for Digital Eclipse,
Yeah, it
but
does not
he
work for them.
does not work for them. But he's basically said that the idea there was to make coffee table books that you can play, which I think really does a good job of sort of encapsulating kind of what they're doing. So as you can see, my explored percentage on all these is 0. This is the first time I booted this game up. I wanted to kind of take a look at it with everybody for the first time. I so I think I speak for probably all three of us when I say the first game console that I ever played, not owned, but the first game console I ever played was an Atari VCS or an Atari 2600. Is that correct for all three of us?
100% sure, but quite possibly. Those were heady days, They had your Coleakers and your Intellivisions, but probably played an Atari before any of those.
I mean, you guys are
I
both
owned an
also a
Atari
little
before
older
an
than
NES
me.
anyway.
Yeah, you guys are both a little older than me, so.
I'm the oldest one here. I have played an Odyssey a little tiny bit before 2600, but the 2600 was the first one I had.
So I didn't get a 2600 until, so this is how different the vintage gaming landscape is now. I got my Atari 2600 when a friend of my parents bought one for me at a yard sale for, I think he paid $5 or $10, and it came with a literal stack of games.
Nice.
And like, but multiple joysticks, 2 paddle controllers, etc., etc.
I mean, the Atari was not very expensive by the mid '80s, as you may recall. It was under $50.
Oh, this was like I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, so this would have been the mid '90s, 95, 96 that
Oh
this
God, okay.
happened.
They were literally giving that shit away
Right.
in the '90s.
Right, yeah, exactly. But before that, there was a kid who lived up the street who lived kitty corner, as I say, catty
Sure,
corner,
that's what I
as
said.
some other
it was-
people say.
It was a real Atari and not a Sears unit.
The one the kid down the street from me
Yeah,
had,
the one
I
either
could
one.
not
Yeah.
speak to that. The one I had and still have, but can't play because I have no way to hook it up to any of the television. Oh, actually, no, I could. No, I don't think I could. Even my
You don't have a
PVM.
TV that can take an RF.
I don't even. Well, because it has the forks. The
Yeah.
2600 has the forks, and I think that
Yeah.
even my PVM can't take the forks. So I would need something else.
I may still have an adapter I could
So-
send you if one of your units can take an S video. Because I have a thing that you could plug the forks into to make it an S video thing.
Really? That's an
Amazing.
interesting combo.
I do have things that will take S video, but I've actually been toying with.
I'll
So
look around and see
apparently the Move, if you want to have the real hardware feel and be able to use your controllers, especially your paddles, which is a big thing for me. Apparently the Hyperkin HD 2600, but then you hack it to put it like there's a fan made version of Stella that the Atari community made that runs really well on the Hyperkin like Atari thing, and so that's the move, is to get one of those and then load the hacked version of Stella onto it, and do it that way. So, all right, so apparently we have to kind of go through the timeline. We can just hit a button to go to the game library, but it feels like it's maybe sort of a guided tour. I probably won't stick to this the whole time. But
Yeah.
just to start.
Yeah.
So this is the famous picture of Ted Dabney and Nolan Bushnell.
Nolan Bushnell, yeah.
Yeah. They started a company called Syzygy, which then, of course, that name didn't stick, thankfully, and became Atari. And their first game was Computer Space. I have seen. Did you guys fly into the terminal when we were in New York? Did you fly into the terminal that had the little Strong Museum exhibit in it, and there was a Computer Space, I think, in there? Was that right?
Yeah.
Was there? Yeah.
I don't think
like,
I've ever seen that.
glass cube. I think most of them are yellow, I think, not green, but turns out that like fiberglass molding an arcade cabinet is prohibitively expensive, so they didn't do that for very long. But that's Computer Space. I'm kind of surprised they didn't use the official flyer, because the official flyer has this woman in this sort of drapey thing. So there's video content here. I'm not going to play any of that stuff. If you want to watch the videos, that seems like the thing that's most likely to get copyright claimed. I'm not going to play the video clips, but if you want to check that stuff out, pick up the compilation. It's not like the physical version was $40. I imagine probably the download version is maybe a little cheaper, but I guess I don't know. There's a steelbook version that's $50, but all that is different about it is it literally comes in a steelbook and has a poster. And I was like, I'm not paying $10 more for that. So, all right. So on June 27, 1972, this is Atari 50, 72. Dabney and Bushnell incorporated their company in the state of California. The name Syzygy was already taken, so there you go. They chose the term Atari from the game of Go, which they were both big Go players, because that was the hipster Silicon Valley thing to do, apparently.
When they weren't doing coke, they were playing Go.
I feel like they smoked a lot of weed. The weed was the popular.
My understanding was that during the actual like VCS heyday, there was a lot of coke in the office, and hot tubs and so on.
Well, the VCS heyday was after the Warner sale, so that makes
Yeah.
more sense. But I feel like when it
Yeah.
was original Atari, but
Yeah,
there's
it
actually
was,
yeah, there's a very good book called Atari Business is Fun that was written by Wisconsin natives Marty Goldberg and Kurt Vendel. Kurt passed recently, so R.I.P. But that book is they've rewritten it I think a couple times. The latest edition probably has more current. Like I know that there was some incorrect information in there that Marty had apologized for at various points that made its way in, but I think the latest versions of that book are on the up and up. And even if you don't, even with the few pieces of misinformation that were in the first printing or two, they did so much work interviewing Ted Dabney, interviewing Nolan Bushnell, interviewing Al Alcorn, like all these people who some of them are no longer with us. I think some of them are probably not going to be with us for much longer because they're all pretty old at this point. So,
And they did a lot of drugs.
And they did a
in
lot
the
of
70s.
drugs. So this is another clip. The genius of Atari was to create a fully formed commercial. So Eugene Jarvis is such a character. I love Eugene Jarvis. He was a guy at Williams and
I mean, yeah.
and Midway later. He
He's an
designed.
all-timer.
He's an all-timer.
I mean,
Defender.
all he would have had to do is Defender, and he'd be an all-timer. But he did other
Right.
stuff too.
Smash TV, Robotron, Cruis'n USA. He also is responsible for one of my favorite quotes of all time, which is the only legitimate use of a computer is to play a game. So, so
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, Wade Rosen, current CEO of Atari. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care what the current CEO of Atari thinks about pretty much anything. So,
I kind of don't acknowledge that even exists at this point.
so we can't play Computer Space. Apparently, Computer Space is not on this compilation. But from the timeline, as we go through the timeline, we can just play the games as they come up, right? So, Pong was not the first arcade video game, but it was the first successful arcade video game. And somebody made, and then Digital Eclipse promoted. Somebody made a 3D printed paddle that you put on your controller, and as you turn the paddle, it tilts the analog stick as you turn the paddle. It's like a 3D printed thing that you clip onto your controller.
Yeah, you have to stick like a skateboard bearing inside for it to work, but it looks really cool.
Does it? Do you really have to do that? That seems...
That's what it said in the post. It was
Wow. Okay.
That's what makes it rotate nicely. I think is the fact that there's this.
Yeah.
Got actual ball bearings.
Well, because the Atari 2600 paddles definitely did not have anything on that level in them, and they don't rotate nicely
they're
as
just rheostats.
arcade, right? The arcade ones though have arcade spinners. Good arcade, like real arcade spinners, have that nice ball bearing action to them for sure.
Yeah.
Puppy Pong for doctors' offices, pediatrician waiting rooms, etc. So there are 3 promotional flyers here. Pong. I love this one. I love these old flyers. Most of them, I think at this point, probably people liberally just borrow from the Arcade Flyer Archive online because that's pretty much where they were all actually preserved, unless they were preserved by the companies themselves, which is often not the case. I know that for the guy who did the Art of Atari coffee table book, which I think I mentioned before my mic was turned on, he had a dumpster dive because they literally whoever owned Atari at whatever point in time just threw a bunch of that stuff in the garbage, literally in the garbage, and he had a dumpster dive to save a bunch of original art from the 2600 days.
Yeah.
Bob James in the chat says we need to get Kevin Bunch to get to the bottom of things on the drugs at Atari. Yeah, probably. Also, if you have an interest in this era of gaming and are not subscribed to the Atari Archive YouTube channel, which is run by Kevin, you should definitely do that. Also, he's just a swell dude. He's done voices in some of my videos and stuff like that, and he's just a really nice dude who does really good work and has is cataloging a section of video game history that I feel like has kind of fallen by the wayside. Like, I think a lot of these games, speaking of games, let's play a game. Let's play Pong. I don't know if Pong is 2 players, so actually I don't know if this will let me even.
So I misspoke actually a little earlier when I said the Atari 2600 was the first system I had. I actually had a like knockoff,
A Pong clone?
Pong thing that I think came from Sears, and it did Pong, it did handball, so it was 1-player Pong. They basically just put a line on the other side and you could play by yourself. And then they did 2 variants of that. I can't remember what they were called, but essentially they inverted the lines. So like instead of having a small white paddle along, a black edge, it had a long white edge with a gap in it. And so and you would catch instead of, rebound. And it had a single, 1 and 2 player versions of that. So it's like 4-in-1.
Yeah, right.
Even though it was just essentially the same game in just different variant flavors.
1 4 times.
I never had an actual Pong. I've never even to this day I don't own a Pong console. There you go. My dad used to talk about this when I was a kid. My dad would talk about how when I was young we had Pong. And you could get it to sit where the 2 paddles would just bounce it back and forth between them infinitely, which is so. This I don't know. I assume if the second player is plugged in, you could use the other but there's no AI. I was literally just moving both of the paddles with the right stick and the left stick, which is actually not that far from how some of those Pong consoles were, because they had the 2 dials on the console, and you had to sit right next to the thing and move the 2 dials, right up there. So, okay, that's Pong. I don't think I need to spend a great deal of time on Pong.
The other thing for those that aren't aware is those early consoles would have difficulty sliders, or options.
Hardware difficulty sliders.
Yeah, and for something like Pong, it made the paddles bigger and smaller. So you could say like, well, I'm better than you, so you can have a bigger paddle than I do.
Like the 2600 basically had dip switches built into the outside of the console.
Yeah.
Right.
And they came in different. I have a 6 switch and a 4 switch because they came in different models.
Seen a 6 switch.
The original ones were 6. Now I'm trying to remember which switches they got rid of. I think they got rid of the black and white switch. I'd have to look at both of them side by side, but I have. And then the really old ones are called heavy sixers because they had like extra RF shielding in them or something. I don't remember exactly why they're called, what it was that made them heavier, but there are heavy sixers, 6 switch, 4 switch, and then there's the junior, which was like that was the one that once it was the Trammell family owned it, they put out like a mini version that they sold it for, like you were saying earlier, Mike, for like $50, like the mid to like after Nintendo Mania caught on, like they started selling them for like $50.
I just remember the commercial under $50. $50.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you cracked an old 2600 open, there's a lot of empty space inside there, because all the guts are kind of in the center where the cartridge is. They kind of run down the center, and then you have the switches at the top, but everything sort of underneath the switches on either side of where the electronic guts are is basically empty.
Yeah. Rhino 14 says, I think they should make a Pong movie. I mean, it can't be worse than the Assassin's Creed movie. That probably, who knows? I mean,
option Pong for a movie.
I'm sure at some point someone has or did. I know that at one point there was
at the same time they did Battleship.
So it was a long time ago, and I don't know what the current status is. But at one point there was talk of making a movie about Atari that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to play Nolan Bushnell. Was in talks to play Nolan Bushnell. But that was like 10 years ago at least at this point, and I feel like that's just been stuck in development hell forever and ever at this point. But so this is a video. I'm not playing the video segments while I'm doing this stream, but this is definitely the story of they put at Andy Cap's Tavern. They put the first Pong game there, and they said it was broken, and when Al Alcorn went to service it, it was just that the coin box was so full that you couldn't like trip the mechanism anymore to get the game to start because the coin box was overflowing. And that's how they knew they had a hit. All right. Space Race. This is another one that apparently isn't on here, but I think it's good that they. I mean, you have to kind of pick and choose. Although, I mean, you kind of don't really. I guess some of these games are so small that it would not be hard to just put them all in here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. They've done a really amazing job from what I've heard described here. I don't have this yet, and I don't want to sort of naysay too much, but there is a bunch of stuff that's been left out. It's been curated, and so it's sort of like, could we not have put this in here? It's got to be not pretty small, but who knows what kind of licensing rights, whatever hell some of these things went through.
Yeah. So
I think
this is
mostly what I saw that was like there's a whole bunch of link stuff that kind of should be included that they don't have.
That's not
But I
surprising.
You are a
think
bit of a link
that's
stan, aren't you, Kurt?
that's I am, but I think that's purely around rights shenanigans and stuff because of the way the links got developed.
So I have never played this game. I have never seen a physical cabinet of it anywhere in all of the arcades I've been in my life. This is Gotcha. The controls are boobs. This game
I've
is
never
needlessly horny
heard
for the
nor
early
seen
70s. The 70s were a horny time, though, I suppose.
I was about to say needless for the 70s. That's sort of a misnomer.
But apparently it's a maze chase game. Another person I want to shout out is Kate Willart. Kate Willart. Willart. She makes also gaming documentaries on YouTube, and she did a really bizarre deep dive into sort of the history of like the Atari porn games, but like it didn't start that way. She also like tracked down a VHS tape of a really like old throwaway like 80s comedy to find footage of the original Wild Gunman, which was featured prominently for some reason, which the original Wild Gunman was a film strip game thing that Nintendo made prior to the NES version, which everybody knows and loves. So you should check out her stuff as well as Kevin's if you're not already. Touch Me. Neverling. Oh, so this is basically, yeah, Simon, right? Ralph Baer saw it and made Simon. Okay. This is a thing I had no knowledge about this at all until just now.
Nope. Me neither.
So. Key games. Right, so this is the fake competitor that Nolan Bushnell. I think by this time Ted Dabney might have been gone. So basically, this was Nolan Bushnell making up a fake competitor to himself. Yeah. So, Tank was famously included in the pack-in for the Atari 2600, which was Combat. Which of course featured Tank and a bunch of Tank variants, and then of course the airplane games that were included in Combat, but basically Tank. Realistic Tank controls. Look at those dual joystick, move control one tread at a time. It's like the prequel to Cyber Sled. Quadra Tank. A 4-player twist on Tank. Developed in 2022.
When I was around 16, I bought a 2600 in San Diego to swap meet for $10. A bunch of games. I had the most fun with Pitfall 2 and Keystone Capers. I played the shit out of Keystone Capers.
Yeah, I also played quite a bit of Keystone Capers. Coincidentally, neither of those games are going to be in this collection because one of them is an Activision game and one of them has a license attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, that's really weird, right? Like, to make a game in the 70s based on the Keystone Cops would be the equivalent of someone just like apropos of nothing bringing out a game now. Not even anyone, like a first party like Microsoft or Nintendo being like, yo, we're gonna make a video game and it's gonna be based on Happy Days.
Right.
Like
everybody's like, why?
Mm-hmm. So this is Quadra Tank is a new game from. So there are a handful of new games in this thing. I'm not going to play any of them quite yet. I could play it right from here, but I'm not going to play any of them yet. But there are a handful of new games that Digital Eclipse made for this collection. from transistors to CPUs. So this is a thing that I feel like younger people now who play video games don't fully understand, is that the earliest video games were made on dedicated logic boards, which is basically just a circuit that like has a routine physically built into it, and not like a microchip, which is what everything now is made with. So you had several chips, and like one of the famous stories, which I feel like probably is going to come up in a couple of these nodes, so I won't tell too much of it, involves Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak of Apple fame. So, but yeah, the 1975 release of the affordable MOS 6502 processor meant that Atari and others could program their games in software instead of having to build, like,
Whoa.
take out a breadboard and build like a dedicated logic thing. Home Pong. There it was. Kurt, was that the one you had? Was that your Home Pong unit?
It didn't look like that.
Yeah. This is the Sears one. You can tell because it says Telegames at the top. Because that was the Sears branding, was Sears Telegames.
I could be misremembering that it was a Sears thing and it was just some other.
I mean, there were so many Pong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Consoles at the time.
Mine was all black. And flat.
There you go. So, pinball, which is weird that Atari only made pinball for a short time. There you go. Eugene Jarvis joined Atari in 1977 to program processors for pinball. The Atarians, wide body machines. So I have a friend who plays in a weekly pinball league. He's a big pinball guy. He has mentioned that he's generally not a fan of the wide body machines. 4 flippers, that's gimmicky.
Even he's a big pinball fan. Would you describe him as a wide body guy?
Apparently not. So, the first pinball machine for which Jarvis did the programming was Time 2000. Another wide body machine. A lot of old pinball machines are like, there's a pinball bar here in Nashville. Specifically, like there are a number of arcades, but there is a pinball bar which has only pinball machines, no video games, and they have a bunch of older machines that most other places you don't really find them as much. And some old pinball machines are no, they don't have that one. They're not a. It's not a big bar, so. Yeah. But they have. There's one I like that is an older machine that it's like about skateboarding, and I can't remember what it's called. Roller games is what's on the tip of my tongue, but I know that's not right because that was the worked roller derby thing in the 90s, which I think also got a pinball machine. But anyways, a lot of old pinball machines are like kind of hard to go back to because the play fields feel like really empty.
Right.
Right. Steve Ritchie also
much older machines, and you're like, there's like 3 things to hit.
Yeah. Right. Right. Hercules. So Hercules, I have played at MagFest and or the Midwest Gaming Classic, but this game is funny because, as this blurb says, it's this giant thing. Again, it's going on the Hercules mythology, and so it uses a cue ball instead of a pinball.
Really?
Yes. It's not very fun. You play it purely for the novelty. Although I wonder if there's a good no. I can zoom in. Okay. So you can kind of see there, but like there's not a person there for scale, so it doesn't really, you don't get a full sense of like how monstrous this thing is, but yeah, this I've never seen or heard of this one. This one doesn't look familiar. Oh wow, the 4 flipper thing. I don't know. They just gimmicky, I guess. Was Atari's.
Yeah.
Breakout. There we go.
Stuff,
Yeah, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. So apparently this was the source of like an actual falling out by them. because the story didn't come out until years later. But apparently, Jobs. So Al Alcorn told Jobs that he would get a X amount of dollar bonus, and I don't remember now what it was, but he would get a bonus for every chip he could take out, or every chip under 40 or something like that, that he could use to make Breakout. And he passed the job on to Woz for like a flat $200 or something like that. Even though he was getting like $50 a chip or whatever under 40 that he could, and Woz was
I'm shocked.
Yeah, right. And so Woz, was like a prodigy, and so he did it. He got a bunch of chips out of there, and so basically, but
that tune in 5 chips.
Yeah, right. And Woz didn't know that story until like the early 90s. I want to say the story wasn't public, and like apparently they had like a pretty significant falling out even at that point over it, because like he was pretty hurt by that his friend would screw him over like that. So there you go.
Friend's a sociopath.
Yeah, right. Also, I have to say there is an absolutely fascinating book about Breakout that was published in the early 80s and was just republished by Boss Fight Books 2 years ago. And it is written by a person who was not into video games, who basically got obsessed with video games, or got obsessed with Breakout, not video games in general, Breakout specifically. And yeah, there's another new game from the folks at Digital Eclipse. But it is a fascinating read because the guy he's this academic type, and he's famous for apparently inventing a way to teach piano that made it a lot easier for people to pick up and learn. And he's sort of writing about games in a way that like the magazines of the time and the sort of newsletters of the time were not thinking about games in the way that this guy was, because he was this sort of artistic academic dude, and he was fascinated by Breakout. He was also very bad at it. Like, he talks extensively about how long it took him to clear the screen the first time. So like that's also kind of funny, is there's this heady academic writing about Breakout, and he's absolutely dog shit at the game, which is kind of funny. Bob James says, I'm going to buy this collection to play with my pops. Right up his alley. He can still kick my butt in Ms. Pac-Man. My dad also... I don't know if he can kick my butt in Ms. Pac-Man anymore, but he definitely could for a long time. And this was the era when my dad graduated high school in 1981, and the drinking age in Wisconsin at the time was 18. So he spent a lot of time in bars playing stuff like Breakout or Pac-Man, Galaga, that stuff. So let's play some Breakout.
Ryan wants to know if we're playing Jaguar tonight.
I would like to move around a little bit more than just like like I said, I'm gonna do the linear thing a little bit, but eventually I do want to play some of the later stuff that we would not get to if we go through this whole thing on the timeline. So but I want to go through the timeline at least until we get to the kind of early 2600 stuff, and then we can jump around a little bit, just look at the game list. So yeah, I don't know. This is a game. I get really frustrated when I see people talk about, and not even just like young, not the kids, but like there are people my age who say like, oh, it's like really hard for me to go back and like watch movies from the 1930s or whatever, because they feel old in a way that makes them hard to watch for me. So I don't like to be the person that says like a lot of these games have kind of aged out, but a lot of these old games have kind of aged out.
I mean, a lot of them are incredibly simple.
Right, and that's the thing.
Right. And so, you're playing a game these days that's, there's so much more to it that it's hard to go to something that's that has like one thing to it.
Right.
But
This game is
Yeah,
also
there's
hard
really-
to play without a spinner, by the way. Like with the analog
Yeah.
stick is better than a D-pad, but it's still not optimal. Especially but one of my local arcades has an Arkanoid machine, and Arkanoid feels. I mean, obviously Arkanoid also came out a decade after Breakout, so like
Right.
that's a factor for sure. But like, there's just so much more going on in Arkanoid that it's just I find it just to be
Yeah, I mean that's the
much-
thing, right?
Yeah,
You've
right.
played Arkanoid now, so going back to Breakout just feels like tying one hand behind your back.
Right. I mean, I do think there are games of like I think Ms. Pac-Man is still one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
I still like Arkanoid. I feel like there is a point though where you kind of cross a threshold, and I feel like for arcade games it's around 1980, and for home games it's around the NES, basically, where it's like there's enough complexity here that you can still go back to them, and they don't all. I mean, there are elements of a lot of those games that have aged like milk, but.
I think I agree with you. I think the best NES games are totally fine to play nowadays.
Yeah, right. But I think the best 2600 game, my favorite games on the 2600, I still don't usually play for more than 15 minutes at a clip, if that.
Yeah. Right.
Like I can't imagine being like I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna learn how to like Adventure. Every time I pick up Adventure,
I loved Adventure back in the day, and I know as soon as I fire it up and be like, yeah, there's not a lot here.
yeah,
I mean, we like literally spent hours playing Combat.
yeah, I believe that.
And I don't know that would hold our attention for anywhere close to as long. Bob James says Missile Command has aged well,
Yes.
as well as Centipede and Millipede. I agree with all of that. I think the gulf between arcade games and home games in this era is so wide that you can't really equate those things, right? Stuff you were playing on a 2600 and comparing that to contemporaneous arcade games is not really fair.
Yeah, I think, and also like 2600 Missile Command has not aged well, right? Like the 2600
thing,
port of Missile Command.
Actual Missile Command is still really fucking good.
Yeah. Also, Alex started to say something snarky earlier, but Alex is here now too.
Yeah, that's fine.
We went
Yeah.
over this when you were talking about Mr. Stuff at some point, but I only barely even like arcade games from the early 80s.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm with Mike.
I think the ones that are really good are real. Like I can play Galaga. I can play Ms. Pac-Man a lot. Every time I go to an arcade and they have a Ms. Pac-Man, especially if it has the speed kit in it, I will sit down and I usually set the high score. It depends on how much patience I have and how high the high score is at any given time, but I typically try to play Ms. Pac-Man at least until I set the high score. But yeah, I mean some of that stuff is bad. But a lot of games now are also bad, right? There are a lot of games that come out now that I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of modern games, they're all competent, which is not something you could necessarily say for really old games from the 80s, early 90s.
There's a lot
Modern
of
games are almost all very competent, unless you count like the Steam garbage, let's say.
Right, I was gonna say there's a lot of like shitty like asset flips on Steam and really bad mobile games, and console games generally. You're right, most of them are. There's a baseline of competency to get on a console, generally speaking. But
Unless it's a Switch.
right.
Ayo.
Right.
Yeah.
Just another high-strung prima donna from Atari. It's a good thing that now devs are much more respected in video games and aren't thought of in such terms by the bosses. It's a good thing we've come so far.
Yeah.
That's me being sarcastic if there's anyone not picking up on that. Did they do drugs at Atari? Maybe we should watch this clip and we can get to the bottom of the drug question. Let's
go to the clip, Dave.
You will hear stories of hot tubs in the lobby and drug use in the office. And I'm here to tell you that none of that happened in my department. We started smoking pot right now. Rob and I were like the premier pot. No, sorry, Rob. I and some other person who occasionally shared knowledge.
I love that it goes from Crane being like, no, there was none of that, and Todd Fry is like, hell yeah, man, we got blazed immediately.
Well, he didn't say it didn't happen. He said it didn't happen in my department. So what I'm gathering from that is that David Crane is a
I
cop.
worked in a satellite office. I started in 1977, which was still pretty early. It was only
Also, David Crane is great, so just
came out.
oh,
But there was no hot tub in the lobby of the office that I went to. There was no drug use in Atari, though I don't doubt that it was.
Okay, well, there you go. Okay, where Howard and Todd Fry were working, there was.
Drugs were consumed at Atari by all kinds of people at all levels.
Howard Scott Warshaw, of course.
From the bottom to the
Yeah.
top and all over engineering. Not everybody did drugs.
I think a lot of this stuff is edited by Ray Barnholt.
Really?
Some
Whatever.
people
Huh.
abused them. and
No,
some
I'm
people
sorry.
were
Not, I
hot
said Ray
for
Barnholt. I meant
but
Drew
by and
Scanlon.
large, drugs
Oh,
were a
yes,
relatively
he
Those
works
are
in
very
Digital
different
Eclipse
people.
now.
Ray
Those
not
are
known
two very
for
different
being.
people.
drugs, there was a lot of marijuana.
Yeah, he works at
and
Digital Eclipse now. I do
participated a
remember
lot in
hearing that.
brainstorming.
Yeah.
So we had the way of
Sorry, Ray,
trying
love
to
you, miss you.
incorporate drugs into our productivity model.
I went home and I smoked a little bit of cocaine and a little bit of psilocybin in it. I'm sitting there with a half gone when I realized, oh, you can do that.
Amazing.
And it's like,
Amazing.
I out and went and I wrote a page of notes. And my design for that kernel was exactly what it ended up shipping. It was like, it has a tremendous amount of effort, actually, to get everything.
Bob James says Donkey Kong in the NES is good, but 2600 version is junk. Seriously, the arcade console divide is very
probably
true.
the
Yeah.
primary use of those
Yeah.
yellow manila envelopes. So I think it was Fridays.
Good
or
deliveries
Sundays,
of
maybe it was
cannabis.
Fridays when you get these really thick envelopes coming through the system. And, and it was weird. It was like there was a guy working there, and his job was he was the weed dealer. That was his sole job.
Yeah, see, so it seems like it was a lot. I mean, clearly there was some cocaine, but it seems like it was a lot of weed. A lot more weed than cocaine based on these stories so far.
He
Right.
I mean, that makes sense.
about the smell of
Yes,
smoke in the
yes.
corridors.
I don't know. I can also imagine with how simple some of these games were, doing a bunch of coke and then literally staying up until you finish the game.
Right.
I
Just
mean,
sitting
I think,
down to nothing and then writing the whole game in one shot.
I did not do drugs. 'cause
I think
drugs to me
like
was
getting
something
in
that
the
I could
zone
get up
and
and
like being high is
breathe.
like way.
So
Well,
I,
just makes
nor
more
did I think I
sense.
wanted
I
to mix
assume,
it.
Alex, you're not
I-
actually
I-
paying
I
super
knew
close
it didn't
attention to the
work.
stream because I can
And
see
I
that you're
was
doing
always that
homework
guy, so
in
I just
Discord.
Yeah.
didn't- I just
I am
so I
level
never did
43
drugs, but there were a
as a
lot
weaver.
There you
Do you need
go.
a shirt?
Don't
I'll
put
make
too
one for
much
you.
stock
Can you make me one that
Only
says just
43.
another high-strung prima donna at Atari?
stoned out
Only
of my
43.
mind.
Get on my level, scrub.
Yeah.
I mean,
all
I
kinds
just
of drugs
started like a
into
few
the
days ago, so
Yeah.
fucking relax, alright?
So there was a guy who was talking. Todd Fry was talking about how he literally smoked a joint laced with cocaine and psilocybin,
Your game.
and that was like what inspired him to like design a kernel that one of the games ran on. So there you go.
There you go.
The original microdosing hallucinogens for productivity was happening at Atari.
Maybe I judged Atari wrong. Maybe they're alright.
Well, they aren't anymore, so
Well,
Yeah,
maybe they were
now
alright.
As we've said, that we take that as not.
Also, I don't know if this compilation is going to address it, but there's also like a lot of stories about like quite a bit of the old fishbowl party happening at Atari.
you mean key parties?
Yeah, same thing. Same thing.
Yeah.
You put the keys in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Same thing. Oh, I remember hearing about this. I don't think I've never seen one of these in person for sure, but I'm not even sure I've seen a picture of these. prior to right now. But yes, apparently the first electronic music visualizer ever sold commercially was the Atari Video Music. So you can see the levels bounced. So.
Yeah, they did smoke a lot of weed then.
Yep. Yep.
Good for them.
Oh, I didn't play Sprint 8. How many arcade games are they gonna? There seems like there's a lot, so I'm not gonna play every arcade game. Fire Truck. I remember. So there used to be an arcade museum in St. Louis, and I went there when I was a kid. I was there for a car show with my grandparents, and my grandma took me to the arcade museum because obviously. And I saw this game. Yes, because she loves me. And I saw this game, and I was so impressed by not the game itself, but like the control scheme.
Yeah.
For this game,
sort of the concept of it
is
what's appealing.
Yes. Yeah. That you have to have someone steering the ass wagon of the fire truck as well to go. So
it's a whole thing.
First game programmed and designed by Wendy Allen. Superbug was a racing game that featured a Beetle. This is, the precursor to Bump and Jump. And there's the flyer for Fire Truck. I mean, really, you just put that big cabinet on the flyer and you just go, look at this. How could you not want to put this in
Check it out.
Yeah.
2 players.
How could you not want this shit? I'm going to put that there. Also, wow. This is probably going to be more than an hour tonight, I'm going to guess.
Yeah,
shoutouts to Wendy Allen, by the way. This week is Trans Week of Visibility or whatever. I don't remember the exact name, but it's that thing. So shoutouts to Wendy Allen for making video games at Atari. Super Breakout. I'm not going to play Super Breakout.
Transgender Awareness
Transgender Awareness Week, yes. Yes, I apologize for not getting that correct, but
there's apparently a Trans Week of Visibility, which is in March.
I thought it was Trans Day of Visibility. The Trans Awareness Week culminates in Trans Day of Remembrance.
Yeah.
Which, I don't need to bum anybody out, but for what it's worth, trans rights are human rights.
Yep.
All right, Lunar Lander. Fuck this game.
Why do you hate physics, Joe?
So apparently, my understanding, and I don't know if I'm going to look at this stuff. I don't know if they go into it, but authentically simulate an actual moon landing mission. So allegedly, and I guess I don't know how much of this is marketing and how much of this is the truth, but apparently they took
the people who staged the moon landing to make this game. Wow.
Stanley Kubrick.
I mean, I don't agree with that, but Joe, that you would say that. That's impressive. I mean, yeah, okay.
Shut it down.
So, but yeah, they got the calculations that NASA actually used to land on the moon, to land the lunar module on the moon, and implemented that physics model, which you would think isn't that a lot, but also remember those NASA computers in the 60s were also extremely rudimentary. So it's very frustrating. It's a very hard game. In fact, you know what? I'll play this one.
Hard.
I'll play this one a little bit, even though, good Lord, I
Is it the original QWOP? Is that what we're discovering?
I mean, kind of.
I've never played Moonlander, so I don't know. But from what you're describing, it's
Lunar Lander.
Yeah.
Sorry, apologies.
Oh no! How do I turn the jets off?
What you're describing is just it fucking sucks to play, and it sucks.
It's essentially it's.
But it's cool.
It's proto Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, yep.
that's what it is. So here's the first thing. Here is they sucker you in because you're like, ooh, I should go to the 5X because that's worth more points. But those are fucking smaller and really hard to land on. Mm-hmm. And by the time you're committed to that, you realize, well, it's too late. The worst part is, it's very difficult, but also the fuel and time limits are what really fuck you.
Yeah, I need to look at like
Because
what the actual.
if you didn't have those constraints, you could make it work just being incredibly careful. But because those two things are there, it forces your hand to go
Do
more
things you don't want to do.
go more rapidly than you really should safely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
which makes it a game.
Turns out this video game is a video game.
Is a game, in fact. Yeah.
Whoa. What will they think of next?
And then, of course, there was the time-honored tradition that once you realized that you had no hope, you'd turn your lander upside down and slam it into the ground. Like, it's not going to happen. Wham!
Yeah, it's just also you have to be like perfectly
You have to be perfectly straight.
or you ain't landing.
Yep.
Which, as Kurt said, they put that 5x over there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, and also if you're going too fast when you hit the ground, you'll break too. So you have to make sure that you're using your thruster to not.
Yeah, you have to have a soft landing.
Yeah.
I hate. Excuse me. I hate this. I watched another video of somebody else playing this, and now I'm watching you play it, and I'm like, this is just gonna. This is
You fucking
yeah.
see you.
That didn't even look that fast.
This is what I'm saying.
You created a
His
2-mile
vertical
trader,
speed was
Joe.
35.
Yeah, apparently.
Way too
35
fast.
what?
Way too fast.
So the thing I started saying earlier when like I was trying to say something and everybody spoke over me. You all said the smart version of how like I don't know Atari games like I don't know blah blah blah. I hate Atari games. I fucking hate Atari. Like I wouldn't like video games if Atari was the only option. I just like I can't go back. It's too far back. Like looking at that game, I'm like, this sucks. I don't want any like you tell me I have to pay for this? Like you pay me for this. I don't pay you for that. That fucking oh man. It's just I'm just the spoiled NES kid. I know.
Yep.
Alex like, I'm gonna go outside.
Yeah, I did. Like,
I was like, oh man.
I wouldn't play that. That really fucking like stressed me out. Like just watching that. Like I hate that so much. But yeah, but like the NES games, which people older than me are like, oh, this feel the same way about. You know what I mean? Like, as we were saying, like those are kind of stand the test of time a little bit. But Atari games, just like, I don't know, man, can't do it.
Yeah. All right. So that's 30. We explored 31% of the Arcade Origins section in almost an hour. So that's how much stuff is packed into this. How much
And
history.
we didn't actually even dig into all the
Right. We didn't watch all the
videos
segments
and all that stuff. So
yeah. So
there's a lot there.
So we'll hit the Y to see the game library. So I do kind of want to go back to the.
Did you say there's Jaguar stuff on here too?
There is, yeah. Reimagining.
Nice.
So we got a Yar's Revenge. We got a Vector Sector.
Crystal Castle.
We got a Touch Me LED.
I will not.
Yeah. We finally got the 4th installment of the Sword Quest series. It's digital.
Thank God.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Thank God.
I got
Eligible
through
for Game of the
3.
Year.
That's
Got through
true.
3, but never got the 4th one.
Quadra Tank, Neo Breakout.
Do I have to send away for the poster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was Sword Quest the one that had like a big contest?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The chalice and the crown and the jewel encrusted sword and
Yep.
that was Sword
Yep.
Quest.
Yep.
And the company went tits up before the 4th one came out. So
Yep.
I'd love to see like a major game publisher offering a kid an actual jewel encrusted sword in 2022.
Quote unquote jewel encrusted.
No, I believe that all of those things were like like legitimately very very valuable. Like actually made from gold, actually included
No.
Yeah, I'm
precious
looking at this now.
stones.
Yeah, one of them was valued at 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb of Atari to do that.
Right.
That just to be clear, that isn't what drove them out of business.
I know. I just.
So one of the things I've been most interested in is seeing what haunted houses
Yo.
is like. So I'm gonna play haunted houses.
Okay.
Listen, Kurt, you make a video game where you give someone a real life jewel encrusted sword once, they're gonna want one every time.
Give these kids an inch, they'll take a mile worth of.
I
Exactly.
mean, you're aware that not everybody got one, right? There was one person that would get one.
Yeah, but everybody's gonna be. Think about like it's a public safety issue. That game gets released, and there's a fucking like feral crowd trying to get the one copy that they got at the store.
That's what they were hoping
Oh,
for.
so you would make it illegal, Alex, and then the only people with jewel encrusted swords would be criminals.
You're right. Everybody need a jewel encrusted sword in every gamer's hand.
Boo!
Yeah, exactly.
We need more
Abortions
good
for
guys with
some.
jewel
Abortions
encrusted
for
swords.
all. Boo!
Jewel
Abortions for
encrusted
no one.
swords for others. Shit. Ladies and gentlemen, please watch The Simpsons from 1990. I don't know, like
Yeah,
1,
God,
2,
I don't know.
2000.
I mean, yes, please actually do that.
Well,
That's
it
great.
would have been. It would have been 1992
Yeah, I don't know.
because it was during in a presidential election year.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, I think that was 96. Wasn't that Bush and or sorry, Dole and Clinton?
Yeah, Dole and Clinton. Yeah. So yeah, you're right.
Anyway, good luck, Joe.
Thank you.
Not sure what to think about these disembodied eyes that I can see
What
well.
exactly is happening on the screen right now?
This is the new haunted house from the fine folks at Digital Eclipse. This is one of the reimagined games. So
What were those things on the bench supposed to be?
I don't know. I'd have to go back. I think I'm not sure.
They're just a bunch of yellow blocks, and was trying to decide.
Oh, I think it's supposed to be the door. They're boarded up. The doors are boarded up. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there was a bench that you walked past, and there was just a whole bunch of various size yellow blocks on it. I was trying to decide what it was supposed to actually symbolize. Bob Jane says, "Good night, everyone. Have fun. Be safe. You too, man.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out,
Bye.
Thanks
Bob.
for hanging out." Like the behind view better.
Yeah, same. How you doing, Alex?
I'm good. I just like walked up to this thing and like when a character dies in Final Fantasy 14, they like teleport in near this crystal. I'm walking up to the crystal, teleport somewhere, and then Puke always dead respawns in front of me.
Way to play into the stereotype.
I just wasn't ready for it. That's all. I've seen a lot of stupid names in this game, but you know, wasn't ready.
Few that were this accurate.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, obviously,
I mean, that's a tutorial.
that's the tutorial, right? So,
Nice job.
I like the addresses are 2600, 5200, and 7800
Nice.
houses.
Both your houses.
Pox on both your houses.
Right.
All right. Well,
Should hit some of them Jaguar games.
Jagular.
Yes, go for the Jagular.
Hit him in the. Damn it. Fuck. Too slow.
Yep.
all right. Fight for Life, one of the most notoriously terrible fighting games of all time.
Fuck
And
yeah,
that-
man. Let's
There's
There's a
go.
lot of options on that list.
Sounds like that's
True.
scrub talk to me. You just can't handle it.
Missile Command 3D for the Jaguar. Atari carts. Tempest 2000. This is like that's the killer app, right? Tempest 2000 was the good Jaguar game.
Yeah.
Club Drive. Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. What if Star Fox, but really fucking shitty?
I mean, we have Nintendo to make those games already, so I don't know why we need Jaguar.
Trevor McFur,
Versions.
I think, is worse than even the worst Nintendo published Star Fox game. Evolution Dino Dudes. Cybermorph. Basket Brawl. Oh, that's a Lynx game. Turbo Sub. Scrapyard Dog. Scrapyard Dog for the 7800 and the Lynx. Ninja Golf.
That's almost like the same name with different, or same game with a different
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, which of the there aren't a ton of Jaguar games on here, but which should I play?
Oh, show us Fight for Life.
Play the shitty one.
Cybermorph
Thanks,
was
bud. You're a pal.
was one that was talked about a lot. But yeah. Tempest
Play the
2000 is
worst
the
one.
killer.
I think Fight for Life is the worst one, so you're getting your wish here, bud.
Oh, okay. I was more just kind of making a joke about how like Jaguar, that's like what, like 3 games that are like not dog shit. You know what I mean? But I guess you are gonna play the worst one. I'm tuning in. Taking a break, craft. Here we go. Oh, this looks bad already.
Which of these which amazing character should I play as? Muhali, Mr. G, Kara, Kimura, Lun,
Hog.
Jenny, Ian, or Pog?
I kind of like Mr. G because he sounds like a House of the Dead character.
Suffer. You want me to suffer like G did? Is that what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah. He was
Mr.
talking
G.
about this guy.
And he suffered because he was playing this game.
So,
Ooh, baby.
as
It's
I-
like Virtua Fighter.
but really,
bad.
but yeah, even worse than original.
Even worse.
Like I've said, and I got plenty of comments. Believe me when I said that original Virtua Fighter has not aged all that well.
Now that
Accurate.
But this is I would much rather play original Virtua Fighter.
Oh my god, look at the way they walk.
Yeah. So if I remember the story of this game correctly, it's that like one programmer was on this game, and like for the Jaguar, this is pretty impressive stuff, right? I mean, like the Jaguar could obviously do 3D on some level, but not really. And apparently the single programmer who worked on this and pulled this off was never fully compensated for the work that he did on this game. So
Lame.
that's cool. Okay, so doing quarter circles makes me duck walk. Someone pull up a move
Apparently-
list.
I was kind of looking, but hang on, I got distracted because I was reading. Apparently, when you beat characters, you can take their special moves, and so you like make your own character, kind of.
So near as I can tell, there are no combos. Oh wait, wow. That
Even the FAQ that's on game FAQs is just like a one-page thing. Even game FAQs is like, I don't know, man. What am I gonna do?
I got
about that?
nothing for you.
There's usually like one guy out there who's like, "Fuck yeah, this game rules," and here's my like 600 page. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
This one is like It's like a one-liner. It's like, here are the characters like bios from the instruction manual. That's it. Like,
No
what are the
moves, huh?
technical specs? What is gameplay like? You
Bad.
Know, that's it. Yeah. When is this from? I find this fascinating.
1996, dude. This game.
Not that.
Oh, the
Who cares
game, the
about that?
FAQ.
The FAQ, and the fact that this 6 kilobyte document has persisted.
I mean, probably
From
also
whatever.
1996.
Probably also 1996.
They're dated. They are dated, aren't they? It'll say when it was.
This one I don't see it.
You have to go like
but,
to the list if you're like you have to be on like the main page
Yeah, I
for
was
the.
looking at it. I don't know.
Also,
You know
it-
this person?
It feels like all of the characters have these. Oh my god, he threw me a throw. How do I
dude, it's the
throw? I want to
grappler.
throw.
Yeah.
The button layout here is absolutely baffling. What the hell is going on?
On the Art of Fighting move list, does that help?
No.
Really?
Basic kick, basic left punch, small uppercut, high side kick, left side kick, sidestep, toggle music, show health meter, rotate camera. Okay. That's. Oh, no, we definitely didn't want to do that. Okay. Well, there is an instruction manual here, so I guess let's see if it has moves in it. It says what the special moves are, but like not how to do them.
Standard low kick is a special move in this game. That's like somebody like there's like a little article about it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Standard low
Standard
kick
game.
is special.
They're basically
Yeah.
like this game sucks. So.
Yeah, this is like it says special moves, but
can't
it
find
doesn't.
any.
Oh wait, here we go. Unique moves.
There you go.
They're unique. They're not necessarily special.
Yeah.
Rabbit punch.
Which button is C? Oh, it doesn't even say what the
Fog.
basic controls are, so I don't know which of the buttons. Like it. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, here we go.
Mr. G,
C,
down, up,
basic
C.
left punch.
Back forward C.
Yeah.
What? There's like different
Up,
ways.
up,
to,
C.
Alright, whatever. American. Wait, go back. It said somebody's job was American mom. There.
Not Jenny, the
Fuck, there's
worldwide
time
girl.
delay.
Kara, American mom.
Okay. I just need to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. That's all. Thank you.
Sure. Up, up,
It's your
C.
job. I'm American mom these days.
Oh, that was the rabbit punch, apparently. Okay, that's a throw.
Okay, Joe. I will release you from your obligation to play more of this game.
Shove kick, flying kick. Yeah, so you do get to steal a special move. 2 special moves, apparently. Oh, my password is IWEE! Alright, well, this fucking sucks. You'll be shocked to find out.
Weird.
Alright, let's do Ninja. Somebody mentioned Ninja Golf earlier, so let's do Ninja Golf.
Ninja golf. Just looks like golf.
Ugh.
But that's a ninja. So
That's what it says on the tin. It's
Mhm.
ninja and
But
golf.
is he just gonna play golf? Like, is it just...
Yeah, it's just not every
After
day
many
is a ninja
years.
assassinating
Yeah.
people.
let the ninja have a day off, man.
I'm finally ready for the most difficult test of all. Golf.
I will be back. I'm getting a drink.
You gotta fight dudes as you're making your way from hole to hole. That frog, man. That was a big frog.
Yeah, man. So the golf mechanic is trash. There's no there's not even a swing meter. You literally just hit the button and it, unless I'm missing where the swing meter is and I'm just not seeing it.
It's like audio cues or something.
Maybe. There's a dragon preventing me from putting, which is, that's novel, at least. Yeah, get the hell out of here, let me putt. I was just getting it on the green, like, sufficient? That's it? I wonder if the little... Oh, I bet that's the swing meter. I was just taking that as the direction that I'm hitting the ball, but... Oh yeah, that's the swing meter. Okay. Still pretty rudimentary, but... Also, I love the guys at Digital Eclipse, but man, mapping the jump to Y and the attack to B, that was, I don't know who decided that, but that's backwards as hell.
Is it possible this game just had a weird control scheme and they're trying to recreate it
I mean, it's
faithfully?
possible, but the 70, if I remember correctly, the 7800 controller is pretty similar to an NES controller.
Yeah, but sometimes games back then would do weird stuff like invert the jump and the attack.
Yeah, you're saying like you think that was B is attack.
Did Ninja Golf originally have shitty control placement?
Yeah, I mean that's possible, I suppose.
Honestly, this is a cool concept.
It is.
Like, they should revisit this.
I agree. I'm surprised that. Not sure that I love it playing like the stereotypical Arabian music when you're in the sand trap, but sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like, wasn't there like an Aqua Teen Hunger Force game that kind of did that, and it was like pretty bad, like on PS2?
Probably. If there was an Aqua Teen Hunger Force game, yeah, it's probably just some licensed crap, you know?
Right. Yeah, so apparently putting is fighting a dragon on the green. That's putting.
That's how I remember it.
Yeah. That's pretty like normal.
Been a while
I don't
since you
know.
golf, Joe? Is that
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I'm not a big golfer. Not a big golf fan. Doesn't tell me what par is, though.
the number you don't want to go over?
Yeah, no, I know what par is. It doesn't tell me what the par is for this course. Is that invincibility? I guess, yeah, seems like it. I wish there was an option to not throw my ninja stars. Like, I wish I could...
That doesn't sound like ninja talk to me, Joe.
Yeah. That's pretty dumb.
Look, man, I'm just trying to save... Oh, no. That's in the water. I'm just trying to save my ninja stars for when they're useful.
Yeah, I don't think you get what ninjas do, Joe.
What the fuck? This is amazing. Oh no. Oh shit.
Okay, I just got back, and I want to ask, does the arrival of sharks affect your handicap?
I mean, it certainly seems to. Yeah, see, each ninja star pickup is only 5 ninja stars, and I don't always want to throw them, you know?
I feel like that's a you problem. You should always want to throw them.
Yeah, Mike's right, and he's right to say it.
Yeah, that's how you run out fast, man. That's how you run out of ninja stars when you really need them. Oh wait, actually, maybe I can. Maybe if I leave the stick or the D-pad neutral while I attack, that doesn't throw them. Because I could.
Skill issue.
Yeah, of all the games they could have picked to make new versions of, it feels criminal that this wasn't one of them, you know? This feels like a concept whose time has come.
I mean, I feel like there's been like a golf and blank at this other genre, you know, at the same time. I feel like that's happened before, but I can't think of an example.
You just
I mean,
got
the
a golf roguelike.
the Aquatine one.
It's true, we did just get a golf.
Was that Curse to Golf, Mike? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Also, Golf Story was like a kind of... I mean, that was mostly golf, but it was... I actually didn't like that game nearly as much as I felt like everybody else did.
I think people just got excited because it was a Switch launch game. Basically.
Yeah. It was one of the first games I got on my Switch, for sure. Okay, well, as great as Ninja Golf is, I'm gonna go one more before we call it a night. I feel like I should play something on the 2600 since I didn't. Basket Brawl on the 7800, so that's what Arch Rivals, but worse, I'm sure. Secret Quest by Nolan Bushnell. I don't remember Nolan Bushnell designing a game in 1989 for the 2600, but I guess I'm not that surprised. Dark Chambers. Bounty Bob Strikes Back. Cloak and Dagger. Real Sports Soccer. Minor 2049er. I didn't realize, I think, that was an Atari game. I guess. Also, isn't the computer version like a lot better than the 2600 version? I assume.
Yeah.
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 Major Havoc. Kurt, don't you have a cabinet of this, or didn't you at some point?
No, I have Tempest.
Which could be converted into.
Could be, yeah. The same technology.
What is this?
Confidential.
A background in Sector 3. On fields of Golden Void, if guests appear, don't hesitate, for both must be destroyed. I wonder if that's Saboteur, which is like a reworking of the unreleased A-Team game. I don't know. I'm not gonna mess with that right now. Arcade Food Fight. There we go. That's a decent game. Crystal Castle's a decent game, but it's a trackball game, so.
Correct. Both of those are correct.
Star Raiders, Space Duel, Real Sports Volleyball, Real Sports Football, Real Sports Baseball, 2600 Missile Command. Oh, Miner 2040. There's the computer version of Miner 2049er. Just came out many years before the. Actually, I'm going to sort these by platform. There we go. All right. So. Oh, there's a couple of Atari Confidentials. So I wonder how I find out what those are. All right. 3D tic-tac-toe. Absolutely not. Adventure. Undersea Battle. Asteroids. Blank. Will it even let me play these? Oh, no, it won't let me play these. Oh, a dead end hides... Oh, I get it. Okay, so I have to unlock these by doing something.
Yeah.
Graves Academy.
Yeah.
Okay. Walls come crashing down to sort of the one when that game special board is cleared. Your secret task is done. Got it. I understand now. Then you play the modern games to clear some stuff.
Yeah, and then you unlock them.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're all unreleased games.
I don't know. I'm curious about that. Combat, Crystal Castles, Dark Chambers, Demons to Diamonds, man. Demons to Diamonds. I'm gonna play Demons to Diamonds. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna end the stream tonight with Demons to Diamonds.
There you go.
What are the controls though for these things? Right, fire weapon, left, right. Okay, start. That makes sense. Because, of course, the Atari 2600 did not have a start. It had a switch. You just hit the reset button on the console.
You got a button. It's orange.
Yeah, but that button didn't always start the game. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times you choose your settings and then you'd hit reset, the reset switch, and that would start your game. This was a paddle game, so this was actually a mistake. I should not have done this. The analog stick is a little bit too sensitive.
Twitchy, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think I was confusing this game with a different game that actually I don't think was from Atari. Now I can't remember which. There's an iMagic shooter on the.
Demon Attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice pull.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. I mean, as soon as this started, I was like, this kind of looks like Demon Attack.
That's exactly what. Oh, you know what? Let's do. So I'm actually gonna end with actual. So I played the new Haunted House. I'm gonna play the original Haunted House.
That's a good plan.
And I'm very curious to hear if the Twilight Zone theme remains in it. Or if it was removed. go. Oh no, I got ghosted.
That is so rude.
I know, right? Alright, well that was horseshit. You can't just drop me on top of a spider. What the hell?
I think you're playing grounded.
How am I not finding any of the urn pieces here? Like, I feel like I've been through the whole house already. Nope, because the second piece was also on the first floor. Oh, they were all on the first floor. Okay, well. Twilight Zone theme is still in it. Kinda surprised.
Yeah.
That's also that's literally all of, I mean, there are difficulty things you can do with the switches to make it so there's doors you can go through and the house is bigger and you can turn the lights off so you can't see the walls, etc. But that's all of Haunted House. So when we talk about Atari games being pretty brief, that was the whole game. I beat the game.
Good job.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, a lot of the 2600 games probably not. There's probably not a lot here in terms of that stuff. There's a handful that are good. I am curious what the ones that I have to unlock are. But this is the kind of thing where, you know, I think the arcade games, some of the later, more rare stuff for the Jaguar, the Lynx, that stuff is maybe a little more interesting than the 2600, which is, I mean, there've been so many collections of old 2600 games. There's already on this generation of systems, there's already like a 3-part collection that gives you like over 100 2600 games and a bunch of arcade games. So like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So here we go. Like these are all the different versions of the game. Oh, it even does give me the black and white and or color TV switch. That's nice. But since we're sorting by platform, let's actually take a look at what all the Lynx games that are on here before we go, because I'm sure we did see them all, but they were all kind of mixed in. So Basket Brawl, Malibu Bikini Volleyball, as one does. Scrapyard Dog, Super Asteroids, Turbo Sub, Bounty Bob Strikes Back, Caverns of Mars. Oh no, now we're on the... Oh, that's it. We were on the 800. So that's it. Those are the 5 Lynx games. Basket Brawl, Malibu Bikini Volleyball, Scrapyard Dog, Super Asteroids, and Turbo Sub.
No Chips Challenge, huh?
And I feel like of the... Yeah, no Chips
There's
Challenge.
Fast Adventures in Slime World.
And of those, what Basket Brawl's in the 7800, and Scrapyard Dog is on the 7800. So 2 of them are 7800 ports, which are probably... I imagine... I think the hardware was not completely dissimilar, so they're probably pretty close.
Wow, you ever see a Lynx collection so small you immediately go to sleep?
No, but I feel like you just did, Mike. You trying to tell me something? All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I feel like we actually had a pretty decent number of folks in the round and chatting and stuff tonight. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll be back next week with something else. Night, everybody.
Night.